PowerPoint presentation on stress management and self-care. The first part is the physical part, and for me that will be staying active daily, getting enough sleep, managing my health by eating healthy and staying hydrated, keeping up with any doctor's appointments that are necessary for my health. I have to make sure that I am eating properly. I tend to not eat due to my hectic schedule at times, and that leaves me feeling exhausted and having headaches constantly. So staying active, eating healthy is a big deal for me. Next is psychological. Doing activities that keep my mind sharp, such as reading books, watching a movie that inspires me, putting together a puzzle, or playing board games with my daughter. This is a work in progress for me. I'm not doing these things as much as I should, but I think if I do put more time and energy into activities such as these, it will be beneficial in the long run. Next is emotional. For me, it is important that I do not hold in my emotions anymore, that I speak about the positive or negative things that are bothering me. Also, it is very important to make time for myself and to not let everyone else's problems affect me. I used to have a tendency to take on everyone's problems and try to fix them. I learned that this is not healthy and that my emotional and mental health was suffering. I learned that I was taking on too much at once and it was negatively affecting me. I have set boundaries and I put myself first now instead of others ahead of me. Next is spiritual, which I listed meditation, giving myself time to quiet my thoughts, refocus on my goals, and keeping a positive attitude even if things go wrong. I do like to meditate. I also like to give myself time to quiet my mind. I overthink a lot of things, and at times I need to have the quiet space to be able to refocus on my goals and life and keep nothing but a positive attitude. Next is relationships. I've set boundaries for myself where I will no longer allow any negative relationships in my life. If the people around me aren't encouraging and supportive, I will distance myself from them. And I will no longer tolerate people using me and taking advantage of my kindness. My kindness was always taken advantage of. I never said no to people when they needed help. And I have since set boundaries and used the word no a lot more because it is beneficial for myself and my mental health. Next is workplace. And I will no longer allow a job to stress me out. That is why I have changed careers. Nursing was a very stressful and demanding environment, and I found myself giving all of my time to a job that could care less about me or my family. I used to work overtime. I would cover people's shifts if needed, only to get treated like I didn't matter in the end. My overall balance for self-care and stress management will be keeping my stress levels down by doing all the steps I have just talked about. What might get in the way? One would be my child getting sick, myself getting sick, the stress of financial and bills, and also the stress of a workload between school and home and my job. Things change daily in life, and I have to make sure that I don't let anything get in the way of my self-care or any goals that I have in place for myself. Next is what negative strategies do you need to avoid? I personally need to avoid getting to the point where I feel so overwhelmed that I lose focus. I also need to stop trying to please everyone else instead of focusing on myself and learning to say no when needed. Lastly, if you implement your plan, how might you feel? I have been practicing stress management and self care for the past 2 years. I struggle with anxiety and PTSD, and I was completely miserable in the situation I was in. I was unhappy in my home, at my job, and in my relationship. Since I have started implementing my steps that I've talked about to help with stress and self care, I've put boundaries in place, and that has made me less stressed. I'm much happier and more motivated than ever to do better in my life. A few years ago, I kind of sat down and reevaluated my life and where I was in life and what was making me unhappy. I then made changes and have focused more on myself than others, as I've stated. And I always have a positive outlook on life, but now I have even a more positive outlook. I have completely changed my mindset over the years, and by putting myself first and my daughter and making myself a priority instead of everyone else, it has helped me in so many different ways.